On this edition of Collier Highlights, Collier County Museums celebrates the Old Florida Festival. Collier Emergency Management hosts a hazmat drill. We'll go for a spin at Wheels BMX track and pollution control water testing. These stories and more next on the April edition of Collier Highlights. On March 7th and 8th, the Collier County Museum hosted the annual Old Florida Festival. The event focuses on the rich history of Collier County and Southwest Florida. Let's take a look back in this report.
The year is 1720, and I'm careening my ship. Now, careening a ship is when we clean the bottom of the ship to make it faster, because a slow ship, it doesn't do a pirate any good. A pirate with a slow ship is a poor pirate. He's also probably going to be dead because he's going to get caught. Now, careening the ship is the process of taking the ship, running it aground on purpose, letting the tide go out, cleaning the bottom of one side. The tide comes back in, turn the ship around, clean the other side until we can go. This can take up to a week. If you're lucky. If you're not lucky and someone gets the tide wrong, you could be here for a month cleaning the ship down there. Now, what we've got here is my outpost. I'm out here by myself keeping watch to make sure that none of the English sneak up on us and capture us. We're all wanted men. We have prices on our heads.
It started right here. Early email was the telegraph. Before that, you say the Pony Express was the fastest transportation of information from the East Coast to the West Coast. The railway came in, they put the telegraph lines up, Pony Express died off, and electrical transformation of information from New York to San Francisco occurred daily.
The Collier County Bureau of Emergency Services Division hosted a hazardous materials event drill on Tuesday, March 26th at the North Collier Water Reclamation Facility. The event included first responders from here in Collier County, as well as units from Sarasota County. Exercises like these are designed to keep first responders ready for any event.
Today statewide is called SOFLEX 2015, which is a South Florida exercise for USAR, Urban Search and Rescue teams, as well as the state hazmat teams. There's 5 different sites across the state that simultaneously are conducting hazardous materials exercises and USAR confined space, urban rescue type of scenario exercises. We will be simulating a liquid spill, chlorine gas release, and a toxic powder release, and those will be mitigated, sampled, identified. There are hazardous materials throughout the county that are used in industry and are used in households. And when a release occurs, to prevent injury, to prevent damage, they need to be mitigated very quickly. It's a highly specialized level of training. that's required. These are all state certified hazardous materials techs.
No, we're going right here. Okay. Just around this part, okay?
We are our greatest risk in Collier County is really transportation. With I-75, we have hazardous materials that are transported back and forth. And then we have our treatment plant facilities and then our industrial parks where we deal with some of these things. The hazmat team leaders work together a lot in preparing consistent documents and consistent plans, but to get the technician down to the technician level from different areas together, they really learn a lot from each other and start to form that relationship now before they have to do it on a real incident.
Collier Area Transit has made it even easier to take advantage of one of the country's best public transit systems. Now, you can use the transit feature on Google Maps to calculate the best route for you when you travel on CAT buses.
What happens is you go into Google Transit, similar to how you would go into any other trip planner, and you put in your origin and your destination, and on the top they have tabs, and they have a tab for trip planning for your vehicle or for a transit bus or walking or biking. And so now that we have loaded all of our information into the system, you can now figure out what buses you need to get on, where your closest bus stop is, and be able to have transit as your destination option. I can tell you personally, I've used it for my daughter, and by putting in her origin and destination, it brought up a whole other route that I hadn't even thought of when I was looking at the system. And it was something that actually took 30 minutes off of her commute time.
If you want more information on Collier Area Transit, call 252-7777. The Collier County Code Enforcement Division mission statement is to protect the health, safety, and welfare of Collier County residents and visitors through education, cooperation, and compliance. One way to meet that goal is to make sure that you know the code.
Hello, my name is Jeff Letourneau, and I'm the manager for investigations for Collier County Code Enforcement. And today I'd like to talk to you about vehicles and what you can and cannot do in Collier County in regards to residential districts, the estates, agricultural properties. First, I'd like to start out with passenger vehicles. Basically in Collier County, a passenger vehicle that is parked in a residential zone, including the estates, must have a valid tag and it must be operable. So if a code officer pulls up to your property and sees a vehicle that's up on jacks, has a transmission out, an engine out, doesn't have a valid tag on it, that would be a violation in Collier County's eyes, and you might be cited for something like that. The three ways to come into compliance with a unlicensed or inoperable vehicle would be to obviously fix the vehicle and get a valid tag, or store it in a completely enclosed structure such as a garage, or remove the vehicle to an area intended for such use. The next thing I'd like to talk about is recreational vehicles, such as boats, campers, RVs, ATVs. In residential districts, you're not allowed to park these for an extended time in the front yard. Where you have to park them is behind the back plane of your house in your backyard. So if you have a boat on a trailer, if you have an RV, if you have an ATV, you're allowed to park these in your backyard. In no district in Collier County are you allowed to live in a recreational vehicle. So if you have a relative that comes down from up north and wants to park their RV at your property, they can do so as long as they're in the backyard, or they can pull a temporary use permit to park it in the front yard. However, they're not allowed to live in this recreational vehicle at any time. So they could park their vehicle there, they'd have to live inside the house with the people they're staying with. If you have a boat and you want to take it on a trip, Collier County lets you park it in your front yard for 48 hours in order to prepare the boat before the trip, or after the trip you're allowed to park it there to clean the boat. But after that initial 48 hours, you're going to have to store it in your rear yard, or on your at your dock if you have a canal on davits or whatnot. Next, I'd like to talk about commercial vehicles in residential districts. Commercial vehicles are, in Collier County's eyes, any vehicle that is higher than 7.5 feet, wider than 7 feet, or longer than 25 feet. And in residential districts, you can only park your commercial vehicles in a completely enclosed structure or in your rear yard. If you are going to park a commercial vehicle in your backyard, it needs to be totally screened by vegetation or by a fence from your neighboring properties. So if code got a complaint that you had a commercial vehicle on your property, even though you had it in your backyard, if we could see it from your neighbor's property, it would be a violation. Obviously, you can park it in a completely enclosed structure such as a garage. As far as commercial vehicles and recreational vehicles, a homeowners association might have a totally different take on these type of vehicles. What might be a recreational vehicle or a commercial vehicle to an HOA might not be a recreational vehicle or a commercial vehicle to Collier County Code Enforcement. Especially commercial vehicles, your HOA might say a pickup truck with a company logo on the side is a commercial vehicle. Unless it exceeds the height, width, and length standards that Collier County sets, it wouldn't be a commercial vehicle in Collier County's eyes. Just remember that HOAs and Collier County Code Enforcement have different standards. And if you have any questions, you can visit us on our website at colliergov.net, or you can also call Collier County Code Enforcement at 252-2440 to get any information you might need about Collier County codes.
Did you know Collier County has a pollution control division? The mission of the Pollution Control section of the Collier County Engineering and Natural Resources Division is to protect Collier County's drinking water resources from pollution. Take a look at just some of what they do on a daily basis in this report.
The whole mission of our department, our division, is to protect the groundwater resources of Collier County. The majority of Collier County's drinking water comes from underground aquifers. So the whole point of our monitoring is to make sure that we're protecting those and that we don't have contaminants reaching those aquifers. We test about 50 stations a month for surface water, and the stations are all over the county, and they're in every watershed that we have in the county. And we test those for nutrients and bacteria and metals and dissolved oxygen and anything that's going to indicate whether or not pollutants are getting into our waterways. We have to go out and collect the samples based on a standard operating procedure, and those are set by the state of Florida, Florida Department of Environmental Protection. And that tells us exactly how we need to collect that sample, and it tells us where in the water column we need to collect it, how we need to treat that sample, how it needs to be treated once it gets back to the laboratory. And once it's in the laboratory, there's a whole nother set of standards that they have to follow to make sure that that sample is analyzed on time, that it's in required criteria for calibration range and things like that. So we're not just out here putting water in bottles. There's a procedure that we have to follow to the letter. We have an in-house NELAC certified laboratory that we take these samples back to our lab, and they analyze those, and then we get the data and assess the data to make sure that everything's okay. Pretty much anything that goes on the land can eventually end up in the aquifers. So anything that you put on your yard, fertilizers, pesticides, anything that comes off of cars onto the roadways that's in stormwater, stormwater is going to eventually either end up in the canals or it's going to filter down through the sand into the aquifers. We have 18 watersheds that are impaired right now. That's 18 out of 72, and they're impaired for various things like copper, iron, dissolved oxygen, nutrients, and bacteria. We have an education and outreach program, and we're trying to make sure that people, just the general homeowners, know what they should and shouldn't be putting on their ground and what can get into the aquifers. We also go out and inspect illicit discharges, so if we have unknown pollutants and they're on the ground, we want to make sure those get cleaned up properly.
In addition to groundwater and surface water sampling, Pollution Control also conducts domestic wastewater treatment plant compliance, sludge transportation and disposal management, pollution compliant investigations, well field protection, and well construction and completion permit tracking. The Wheels BMX track and skate park, located at the Golden Gate Community Center, is one of the finest facilities of its kind in Southwest Florida.
It is one of the normal BMX tracks that you would come out to. It's just been built. The track that was here before was based more for beginner riders. It wasn't very challenging. They brought in a pro that designed this layout, and it's more of a skilled level track to try out on. But it's still okay for the little guys to begin on this course as well. But this layout that you're seeing here is really what all BMX tracks look like. It's open 6 days a week, and it is open Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Thursdays are closed for maintenance days. That's when we do a lot of the applications to the track to keep it as good looking as it is now. Saturdays and Sundays are actually towards family days. They want to generate more families coming out here, like dads and moms riding with their kids to be out here on the track. You have to have certain items to be out here on the track. You got to have long pants. You got to have long sleeve shirt. You have to have a full face helmet. Very important stuff. If you want to bring your regular bike out here, say it's a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle bike or a Princess bike, that is allowed. If you want to be good in the sport, you have to go with a lightweight racing bike. USABMX.com is the website. You can go on any track through that website, and we do have a microsite off of the USA BMX site. There's also a Facebook page, Naples BMX Inc. We're on Facebook.
For more information on the Wheels BMX track and skate park, call Parks and Recreation at 252-4000. Recently, the Veterans Services Division hosted a luncheon to honor the volunteer drivers who take veterans to medical appointments. Veterans Services Manager Gary Vincent hosted the event.
Today we're honoring and thanking the volunteers who drive all of our veterans to their medical appointments either in Cape Coral or Bay Pines up near St. Petersburg. They perform a great service for us. If not for them, our veterans wouldn't be able to make their appointments for for their treatments in the VA medical facilities. So we are very grateful for them. The veterans are very grateful for them, and we're lucky to be in a community where people appreciate veterans.
Collier County Commission Chairman Tim Nance was on hand to make sure the volunteer drivers know how much we appreciate their services.
The entire community loves its veterans, but only a certain number of people can provide their time and their assistance to help them. So it's the community outreach that makes Collier County special, in a lot of other ways too, but especially for our veterans who deserve all our support and never-ending gratitude for their service to our country.
We talked to one of the volunteer drivers to see what motivates him to help his fellow veterans.
Brotherhood kind of thing. I really like giving back to all the guys that served in the military, and it's just a real gratifying thing, helping out a lot of my fellow veterans. I just love doing it.
If you want more information about helping Collier County veterans, call 252-2509. Sugden Regional Park offers sailing opportunities to the citizens of Collier counties. But did you know several days a week there is sailing and boating of a different kind, or should I say of a different scale, going on at North Collier Regional Park? These sailors never leave dry land, but the action looks and feels as real as if they were in the Gulf.
We sail every day except for Sunday, and it's normally between 10 a.m. and noon, but sometimes we sail in the afternoons. The club actually started in 1982 and has sailed in a number of different places before coming here 2 years ago. And we have 60 members, and we sail 5 different kinds of boats. One of them is this kind here, the Soling 1 meter. And then we have 4 others. Many of the people in our club have been sailing sailboats for years. You might notice that some of us are fairly old, a little bit old. We're retired. We have quite a few retired people here who've been sailing for years, and it's just a little bit easier to maintain a smaller remote controlled boat than it is a big sailboat.
Number 1, you have to have your mast vertical.
This particular seminar is telling you how to set the sails. It's called trimming your sails. Make sure you have your boat trimmed properly before you go into a race, because basically what we do here is you come here between 10 and 12 and you're going to have 12 races. Each one is about 5 to 10 minutes long. So it's a very active program as compared to regular sailboat racing. A race normally takes 1 or 2 hours. Here it takes only 5 or 10 minutes. We use the racing rules of sailing, the same rules that are used in regular sailboat racing. We have a lot of fun with these boats. We really do, yeah. I've got 3 boats myself. I got one of these and then one of 2 other kinds. So each one is a little bit different, and they're each equally fun to sail. And it's a good group of people too. I mean, when I joined the club, I didn't know anybody in this club. Now they're all friends of mine.
North Collier Regional Park is located at 15000 Livingston Road in Naples. On Monday, March 30th, Cesar Millan appeared at Artists Naples in a sold-out show. Cesar is the original host of National Geographic's Dog Whisperer series. Domestic Animal Services participated in the show by auditioning several dogs to appear on stage during the event. DAS volunteer and co-host of Happy Tales, Marjorie Bloom, who was at the event, talked about the experience.
Cesar Millan did a show at the Artis, formerly the Phil, and our shelter, thanks to Darcy Andrade, our director, was selected to bring dogs. And it was just a phenomenal show. It was so exciting for us. We brought down 10 dogs, 4 were chosen, and they went on stage. He had specific requirements of the dog, whether they were toy aggressive or maybe dog aggressive, or just we had a little 2-month-old puppy on there, and he showed people how to get started with a puppy. He was amusing, he was informative, and I think everybody really took something home from it. But most of all, it was such great exposure for our shelter animals here.
If you're looking to adopt a dog, cat, bird, or other cuddly creature, call Domestic Animal Services at 252-7387. Now let's take a look at some of the meetings and events in the month of April. On Tuesday, April 14th at 9 a.m., the Board of County Commissioners will meet in the board chambers on the 3rd floor of the Administration Building on the corner of US 41 and Airport Road. Also on Tuesday, April 14th, the Collier County Library Spring Film Series presents The Guns of Navarone, directed by J. Lee Thompson, starring David Niven, Gregory Peck, and Anthony Quinn. During World War II, a British team is sent to cross occupied Greek territory and destroy the massive German gun emplacement that commands a key sea channel. Showtime is 2 p.m. at the South Regional Library. For more information, call 252-7542. On Wednesday, April 15th, the Collier County Museum will host an event called Baron Gift Collier, the man who made Collier County. A self-made millionaire by the age of 26, Baron Collier invested much of his personal fortune into the development of Southwest Florida. Learn more about Collier County's namesake, his life, and why he had such an impact on the region. The program begins at 2 p.m. and for more information, call 252-8738. On Tuesday, April 21st at 7 p.m., the Marco Island Historical Museum presents A Road Runs Through It. In 1928, the opening of the Tamiami Trail changed the face of South Florida for generations to come. The construction of the road was a feat likened to the construction of the Panama Canal. Today, we think nothing of the roadway. At the time of its completion, it was considered an engineering marvel that opened the vast wilds of the Everglades. Join Park Ranger Bob DeGrosse for a brief history of the construction of the road and the associated Monroe Station. The program begins at 7. Admission is free. For more information, call 239-642-1440. On Tuesday, April 28th at 9 a.m., the Board of County Commissioners will meet in the board chambers on the 3rd floor of the Administration Building on the corner of US 41 and Airport Road. And on Wednesday, April 29th, learn how to download magazines with Zinio at the headquarters library. A librarian will teach you how to download free magazines with our online database Zinio. We'll teach you how to search, download, and view your magazines on your computer, tablet, or smartphone. Now, if you want to review all or part of any county commission meeting, visit colliergov.net and click on the video archive section. Once in the archive section, select the meeting you want to review. For BCC meetings, you can use the convenient drop-down menu to select and jump to any item you're interested in. For additional information on Collier County government, visit our Facebook page at facebook.com/CollierGov. You can also check out videos about county government services at the Collier Gov YouTube channel. That's all the time we have for this edition of Collier Highlights. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next month.